In perspective, you will learn how seeing the same object from different points of views will affect the way that you would draw that. So this is a door from the center view of it. So I'm standing in front of the middle, and you can see that this is just a rectangle. It covers the whole thing. The same door from a different perspective is shaped differently. So I'm going to show you how this becomes a trapezoid whenever you draw it in perspective. So the principle behind why this occurs is that whenever I moved to the left side of the door, the right side became further away from me. Therefore, that side is shorter, and the side that's closer to me appears longer. Not the case. So understanding this principle of just how you see things in perspective will help you draw. And it illustrates also how you use a vanishing point to find these lines. So if I continued with these diagonal lines up here, that would become my vanishing point where they converge, where they come together, and that would be somewhere over here. In this other photograph of my classroom, you can see I've drawn a box over the back wall, and where I connect those corners, this green dot in the center, that indicates where my vanishing point is. I'm going to draw a couple more lines on the screen to show you that this is the point at which lines converge. So if I draw here from this tile, I'm going to move this line. It connects at the vanishing point, and you can see that tile line connects there. I maybe a little bit off. I'm going to use also a floor tile to show you that it follows along and converges there. Let me give myself another line, and I'm going to show you how the corners of the table even converge at the vanishing point. Sorry, not the corners, but this edge here. Everything pretty much in here, unless it is freestanding in the room without any kind of arrangement, then that wouldn't be the case. So for example, these bookshelves are against the edge of the wall, so all of their edges will converge at the vanishing point. If I were to twist it free from that back edge, then that wouldn't be the case. I'm going to show you, let's do the bookshelves over here. They're on this side. Those follow along that line and converge to the vanishing point. So does the bottom. And then you see, like for example, this cabinet coming off of the wall is just a rectangle. It's these 2 points that would converge here. I'm going to do one more line and show you how these, actually I'm just going to extend these lines out to show you that all these lines converge in the corners of the room. So this indicates the front or the ceiling and the right wall coming together there. This indicates the, if I were to continue this line here all the way out like I'm about to, that shows the ceiling and the wall meeting here, and where it extends below, that indicates where this wall meets the floor. So that's that edge. These converge there as well. So all those diagonals converge at the vanishing point. So this illustration shows you how that occurs. If I didn't have anything in the window over here, I could illustrate also how the windowsill follows the same principle. So I'm going to show you a little bit more on how to draw in one-point perspective certain objects so that they are accurate. In this demonstration, I am going to cover how to draw a box in one-point perspective. We only have one vanishing point here. And then we're going to further develop that box by giving it a window. And I'm going to show you with my little foam cutout what will we draw when we draw these thickness lines here is the thickness of the walls essentially. So imagine that this is a door or a wall. What we're going to be drawing there is the inside of of that wall. And depending on what viewpoint you have, you can see different parts of that thickness of the wall. Okay, so if I'm looking straight at it, I can barely see the inside thickness of this door. If I'm looking at it from the right side over here, I can see the left side of the thickness in the window. If I'm looking at it from the left, I can see the right side. If it is on the horizon line, then I can barely see the top and bottom. If it is below the horizon line, I can see the bottom, but not the top. If it's above, then I can see the top and a side, but not the bottom. So understanding those principles of your point of view is really all you need to understand whenever we're dealing with perspective. If it's above, in the middle, then you can't really see the sides, but you can only see the top. So perspective is just like in life. It's a matter of how you view things from where you are, from your standpoint. So on the horizon line, below, above, to the left or to the right, matters in what you see in the drawing. So let's get started first with just drawing a basic box in perspective. And you're going to see how I have these lines color-coded so you can see that the verticals are all parallel in everything. All the verticals are straight up and down and parallel. All the horizontal lines are parallel, and they're all parallel to the horizon line back here as well. And then in the pink up here, I have highlighted the diagonals, which all match up and connect to the vanishing point. So I'm going to show you how you can put your pencil on the vanishing point and pivot around, and it hits all those pink lines because they are disappearing to the vanishing point. And you can see in the photographs that I've taken, you can see how this occurs in reality. So let's get started. The first thing that you have to do whenever you're going to make a drawing in perspective, if it's floating in space, kind of like these boxes are, is you're going to draw a horizon line, which can be anywhere whenever you're sketching, and it is just a horizontal line. You want it to be pretty much parallel to the bottom and to the top of your paper, so you wouldn't want to draw that line crooked like this, okay? So just a straight line, and for sketching purposes, we're just going to keep everything centered and not worry about composition here. Now you need a vanishing point. This is 1 point perspective, so we need one vanishing point. Some people make it a dot. Sometimes people make an X. I've made an X here, and that will indicate my vanishing point. So the first thing is drawing the box, and we are going to start off with the front shape. In this case, it's just a rectangle. So you want to try your best to get, this indicates a right angle, so this to meet at a 90 degree here, 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 and here. So let's draw a box. And I'm going to do it just like in my demo on the bottom right, but you can really put this wherever. So let's just try to make a so straight up and down. You can cheat by using the opposite edge of your ruler to make sure that those lines are parallel. I'm going to use the bottom edge of my paper to make sure that that ruler is resting along the edge, and then that's just a way of kind of cheating to get my right angles. Clean up your extra lines. Okay. Now you have 4 corners, obviously, of this square. Now, I'm not making this is going to be a cube, right? And it is not see-through. I'm not going to draw a see-through cube. So what you may have seen is, I'm going to kind of sketch out an example of what I'm talking about. If I wanted to make it see-through, then I would draw all 4 corners to the vanishing point and then connect it like that. I don't want this to be see-through. I want it to be a block that I cannot see the inside parts of, okay? So for that reason, I'm only going to connect these 3 to the vanishing point.
This one would go behind that, and I can't see it. I recommend students placing their pencil on the vanishing point and pivoting your ruler around until it touches your other dot, and then making your line connect. Now, you can connect it all the way. Bring that pencil back up. Connect. Or, if you know that you're going to cut this shape off, eventually you'll get to the point where you're comfortable enough to where you don't have to draw all the connecting lines all the way to the vanishing point, because you just know what you're doing, and you will save yourself from having to erase all of that stuff. Now we're going to draw the back of the box. Now, where you put it inside these triangles I'm going to show you in a moment doesn't really matter, and that just indicates how deep into the space is this box going, okay? So this one's a little bit longer. I'm going to connect this just to show you that this makes a triangle, okay? You see that this shape here is obviously a triangle. I am going to copy the line of the triangle that's closest to me. So imagine this box is shooting back into space, right? That's the illusion we're going for in perspective, that things are getting further away from us here. So that means that whatever is in the foreground is closest to us, and that means this shape, okay, our first shape. I'm going to copy this line, and you may have heard me talk about copying and pasting. I recommend that you actually physically put the motion of this line into your hands, and that's because of muscle memory. So I'm going to copy, move it back, and paste anywhere inside this first triangle. Now I need to do the same over here. Now you could just go to this point and just go straight down. In more complex shapes, I would want you to, again, copy the line that's closest to you and then paste back here. And as the shapes get more complex and less geometric, that's what you would kind of need to do, and I'll show you an example later. So we have now a box in 1 point perspective. So it has the illusion of getting smaller as it gets further away from us. And just to illustrate for you the lines that are at play, the vertical lines are all parallel to each other, straight up and down. The horizontal lines are all parallel to each other, straight across. And the lines that are going to the vanishing point, these are not parallel. They eventually, obviously, converge at the vanishing point back there. That is a box in 1 point perspective. In the next step, I'm going to draw another one, and we're going to place a window inside the box. So I basically have this same thing, except now it's above the horizon line. And as I showed you with this little model, if it's above the horizon line, above your viewpoint, and tilted at an angle, you can see that I'm only going to see the left side of this window thickness and the top of the window thickness. I cannot see the bottom. I cannot see this side here. It's being overlapped by the front of that window. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you're going to see. In order to draw, first we need to draw the shape of the window on the outside. So this, okay? And in order to do that, you are going to place your pencil on the vanishing point, pivot your ruler until you find where you want the height of that window to be, and draw a line inside, not touching the outside of this trapezoid here. Okay, you see how whenever you cut off that triangle, you create a trapezoid. I'm going to go to the bottom, and I'm going to do the same. How low down do I want that window to go? And draw a line. And now I need 2 vertical lines. All verticals in 1 point perspective should be parallel to each other. We don't want sloppy, crooked lines everywhere unless you're drawing a more organic shape. Now that we have the shape of that window, we need to draw its thickness. Now this is, I want you to see how the thickness and the difference between these 2 shapes here. We have this shape here. The only thing missing to take this to this is 1 horizontal line, one vertical line and one line going to the vanishing point. You're going to start with this horizontal here. And you can see that it comes out from this corner. So right here, comes out from this corner, draw yourself a horizontal line. Horizontal lines in 1 point perspective are all parallel to each other. So this needs to be parallel to the horizon line as well. Make it kind of thick so you can see, okay? So from here, you're going to then draw your vertical line. So pencil on the outside edge, draw a line down until it touches the bottom of the window. Now go back here. This is the third and final line, right on the outside. Now you need to meet this to the vanishing point. So I've pivoted until it touches over here, and then I'm going to draw my line until it touches again. That's it. I have just placed a window inside the front of that box. If you wanted to be further technical, since I've created an opening, if this was a box that you could see through, you would be able to see that back corner. Now you can test that. So if this is the corner where this wall, this front wall meets the ceiling, I would then draw a horizontal through it. And now you can see through the window, you can see the ceiling. And you can see the back wall. You can give it a little bit of shading to give your drawing some more dimension. So this box has that shading so that you can see. And I'm going to draw again to show you verticals are all parallel. Every vertical needs to be parallel in your perspective drawings. Your horizontals, which I'm putting in green, parallel. And there's this one that's peeking through the opening of the window. And then lastly, it's green here, or pink on this drawing, going to be blue on here. The diagonal lines connect to the vanishing point. So if I did this, you could see horizontal. Now we're going to learn how to draw shapes that have organic lines, so curved lines, more ambiguous shapes. And then I'm also going to teach you how to draw stairs, and we're going to start with just a simple 3-step, and we'll show you what not to do whenever you're doing that. Let's start with just a blobby shape, and this can be really anything. So I'm going to go above the horizon line up to the left on this, but you can put this anywhere. And I'm going to just draw, I'm just do kind of that lemon shape that I did before. So whatever this shape is does not matter. What you're going to need to do is draw your lines to the vanishing point just like you did on the outside of the boxes. In order to do that, I'm going to put my pencil on the vanishing point, make my ruler touch the pencil, and then pivot my ruler around until it touches the shape. The moment it touches, that's when I'm going to draw that line to connect. I'm going to do the same thing for the outside. I'm going to pencil on, make the ruler touch, pivot around until it's touching the outside of that shape, and draw your line. And to give it dimension, as I talked about the copying and pasting of lines, here is where it's going to be more important. So now this somewhat triangular shape, as I said before, you copy the line that's closest to you and then go back and paste it however far into the triangle to indicate how deep into that space it's going. So I'm going to physically put the motion of this line into my hand by copying. And this is a big line. And then I'm going to go back and paste the shape as closely as I can to just match it. And now I've added depth. You can make these edges a little bit more curved. It's more curved here than I had it. And then you can erase your lines going to the vanishing point. Now let's learn how to draw stairs correctly in perspective. One of the main things that I want to highlight for this is also what not to do whenever drawing stairs. So I'm going to indicate some common problems that students run into when learning to draw. The first thing that we're going to draw is this front-facing shape. So you can see on the completed version, that is what I'm going to draw first. And I'm going to draw it in the lower left, so I'm going to turn this around so you can kind of see what that would look like from the perspective in which we're going to draw. So this front shape is what I'm going to draw first. So here's my reference. When I drew this front shape, I used a ruler to go straight over and then straight down. So remember, all of our verticals need to be parallel to each other, as do all of our horizontals need to be parallel to each other. So you can see all the green lines, they are parallel to each other. This is especially important whenever you're drawing stairs, because this is what you do not want to do. This front line has very jagged steps, and it's even worse here. You can see, that's what I call death stairs. So you have created these spikes, essentially, that would be the corners of the steps. So unless you want death stairs, do not do a zigzag line for your steps. This is a very common error that students make when drawing stairs. So I have my nice, neat, even straight line. Now drawing the lines to the vanishing point will be quite easy. I'll leave my reference up there because I'm just going to pivot that ruler around and touch each of these points, and I'm going to indicate with a little dot which ones I'm going to draw to the vanishing point. This is another common error, is that students don't put the dot on the inside of the L. They don't connect that one to the vanishing point. With all corners now connecting to the vanishing point, I am ready to copy and paste my first line here. And then you've created a series where you're just going to follow along. You're going to go across and down in each new triangle. Across and down, across, down, across, down. I think it's good to use your ruler for this to keep them nice and structurally sound. Erase your extra lines. You can add in a little bit of shading. And I'm going to show you also how, let's say that the light is coming from the front of the steps, so the top of them would be shaded. So that's every other shape in here. I'm going to show you with a highlighter how all of the vertical lines are parallel to each other. Back there too. All the horizontal lines are parallel to the horizon line, and then all the diagonal lines connect all the way to the vanishing point.